Hey Bag Maker, today I'm going to be talking about Lazy Girl Designs Slicker, some new webbing and various fabrics that I've added to my stash. I got a new quilt kit. It's by Toad & Sew and it's called the Aria quilt. And also I finished one of my crochet sweaters. I tend to finish them at a high rate, but I don't show a lot of the finishes on the show. I'm going to be reviewing the book called Quilts in Modern Color. Tonight's bag lab is using a Lightbox to Fussycut fabric, and there's a great giveaway at the end. I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Social Sunday, my monthly sewing chat. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for Social Sunday. We've actually pre-recorded today's show. It's all brand new content. We just recorded it ahead of time. So my usual spam reminder, if you're watching over on YouTube and you have left a comment on the show and have received a reply to the comment, usually it looks like a copy of our Sew Sweetness logo. Sometimes they're asking you to send information, credit card information, address, phone number, things like that. Please do report or block that. And if you're watching over on Facebook and you receive a private message from, again, it usually looks like a copy of our Sew Sweetness logo. Sometimes they're sending a link for you to click on to send payment in order to claim a prize. Please report or block that as well. I always announce the winner's name verbally on the show, and we have the winner's name typed into the description of the show as well. And also everything that I'm scheduled to talk about during Social Sunday are things that I've purchased myself. So these are not things that I'm getting paid to talk to you about, but just cool things that I found that I'd like to share with you. And everything that I'm scheduled to talk about, I link to in the description. So if you're interested in finding out more about any of the books, fabrics, notions, or projects that I talk about, just check that link in the description and you can find out more information there. So today, this was a request from a while back. Shelia had a request for me to review Lazy Girl Designs Slicker, which is an iron-on glossy vinyl. So I'm going to show you how it works. Danny's going to switch to the overhead camera. I purchased the Slicker on the roll, and this is the paper that comes around the product. So this particular piece was 17 inches by 36 inches, and the recommendation, there's some directions on the wrapper. The recommendation is to pre-wash fabric without using any fabric softeners. So I made a little swatch sample before the show just so you could see what the finished product looks. This is just regular quilting cotton, and I attached the Slicker to it, and this is great for any bags or pouches that you would like to wipe clean in case they get dirty, or you can even use it as your lining. So I thought this was pretty cool, and let me show you how it works. So I found it to be more economical to cut out your pattern pieces first rather than attaching a big piece of fabric to the Slicker and then cutting it out afterwards. I did measure my little swatch that I made after I attached the Slicker, and I did not find there to be any shrinkage. Probably that's why they say to pre-wash the fabric, just in case you need to wash the bag or pouch after it's finished. So I cut my little piece of, this is quilting cotton, and I cut the same size piece of the Slicker. And so the first part of the directions is to peel back the paper. So the paper is the portion with the lines on it. So the clear vinyl peels away, and the side that peels off is going to be slightly sticky. So you'll take that slightly sticky side and place it down on your fabric. Okay, so now you're going to take that paper and the plain side that is shiny, so not the side with the lines, you're going to place that shiny side on top, and this will just be used as kind of like a pressing cloth. Okay, so I have my iron set to the medium setting, and the instructions call for no steam, and I'm going to iron on each area for about 8 seconds. And so some other important parts of the instructions, obviously you don't want to touch the hot iron directly to the vinyl because it will melt it. So after we've ironed for 8 seconds on all portions, I'm just going to flip it over so that the wrong side of the fabric is face up. And again, I'm going to use that portion to press. Actually, yeah, I'll just set it up like this. So 4 seconds on the wrong side. Okay, so I'm gonna let that cool. I think I will just set this to the side and we'll revisit it in just a second. So while that cools, I wanted to read, I go to equine gestalt appointments, which are kind of like mental health, but there's a therapist as well as a horse present. And I recently got this card at one of the appointments, so I just wanted to read it just because I think it applies kind of to sewing as well. So I'm gonna read it out loud. The card I got was called Grace. And it says, "You have received grace and many natural gifts have been bestowed upon you. Now is the time to heighten your awareness of all the ways grace shows itself in you and your life. Note that some are small distinctions while others show up as talents beyond measure. Your grace is uniquely your own. Additional aspects of your personal grace remain unknown to you at this time. Now is the moment to explore and discover more of them. Today is your perfect time to honor all with which you are naturally blessed and to stand in gratitude for it. Appreciate grace." So I think this really applies to sewing, especially because sewing is a gift, whether you feel you're naturally good at sewing or you have to work really hard at it to be good at sewing, or whatever crafts or other things you're interested in. I think we all have many natural talents, natural or learned talents, and I think it is important to practice and use those, and a lot of times we can use those to help other people as well. So I just wanted to share that little card while my slicker cooled over here. So it feels cool to the touch now, so I'm just going to go ahead and flip it over, and then this little pressing piece just peels away, and that's what it looks like when the slicker is attached. So I thought, here's my 2 little samples over here. I thought it came out great. Again, this is glossy, so it will look shiny to the light. And I think it's just a great way to add a little extra touch if you need something that can be wiped clean, like for instance, maybe a cosmetic bag, something of that nature. So again, this is Lazy Girl Slicker. It's an iron-on glossy vinyl, and I've linked to this product in the description in case you're interested in checking it out after the show. All right, so let me move my pressing materials out of the way, and all right, I'm gonna have Danny actually switch back to the overhead camera. So I picked up some webbings from my friend Natalie at So Hungry Hippie, and these are embossed webbings. So as you can see, they have like a design embossed in the webbing, and I think they're all double-sided. She has a lot of colors. I just picked up these few colors, but I know I showed you last month some of the new webbings we had in stock, and here's some other options for webbings. These are really great for straps. These 3 over here are 1 inch wide, and these are 1.5, and I think I could be wrong. Let me grab my ruler for a second. Nope, they're all 1.5. I stand corrected. So these are a great way to make your straps, give it a little bit of an extra additional look to them, and also sometimes it's nice to skip the step of cutting the fabric and interfacing for your straps. And then some new fabric that I've added to my stash. I've got a big stack today. All right, so I have a few dog-related prints that I thought were really cute. These are all from the same fabric line. I think this one's my favorite, and I think this with the paw print would be great for a lining. I've got some more dog. These particular dog designs are from Hawthorne Supply Company, and for these particular fabrics, you can choose the substrate that you want the designs printed on. So I picked a sateen for mine. I just wanted a little bit of a drape, and I just kind of like how the colors show up on the sateen. So I got this in 3 different colorways. I just thought the dogs were really darling. I got this. I have a couple that I purchased that were just one-offs that I thought would be good for exteriors. A lot of times I like to use fabric I have in my stash, like maybe Moda Grunge for the linings. And then the last set of fabrics are all designed by Melody Miller. This is from her Carousel fabric line. These are all pretty much large scale prints. They kind of have a retro, like, I don't know why it makes me think of Brady Bunch, but and then there's a couple smaller scale prints with the horses on them. I would say this one's probably my favorite, either this one or this one with the more blue. I really love these two in particular. And then this last one, this is actually a canvas. So I've linked to all these fabrics and Natalie's shop for the webbing in the description of the show. And I had a question for you. Let me know in the comments. How much, well, I skipped my first question, so I'll go to that one first. What's your most recent sewing item that you've purchased? Let me know in the comments. I would say those fabrics are my most recent sewing purchase, and the book that I have coming up later for the book review are my most recent sewing purchases. And I will go back to my second question after I show that Aria quilt kit. So Danny, would you mind switching back to the overhead camera? So Toad and Sew recently came out with a new quilt pattern. It's called Aria, and I really liked her cover quilt, and so she was selling the kit to make the cover version, so I purchased it from the Toad and Sew website. So I like the colors. I really like large scale designs like this, and I've made several Toad and Sew patterns in the past and had a really good time making them. So this is the PDF pattern, which is nice, so you can purchase and download it immediately. And let's see. Yeah, I've linked to the Toad and Sew shop in the description of the show. And let's get back to my question that I skipped earlier. So my second question for you was, what's the time that it usually takes to cut out fabric for a bag in general for you? I usually like to leave the day before the sewing day for cutting out fabric, interfacing, and attaching all my interfacing. Usually takes me a few hours depending on the project, and I just kind of like that time to quietly work through cutting everything out. I feel like by leaving the sewing for a separate day, I can start sewing fresh, like with a fresh head, rather than, oh, I've already been cutting out fabric and attaching to interfacing for a few hours already, and now I'm starting to get tired. So that's my usual process. But let me know in the comments how long it usually takes you on average to cut out fabric for a bag. All right, I wanted to show my recent crochet finish. I like to crochet in the evening while I'm watching TV before bed, and I'm almost done. I didn't block this yet, and I also have to weave in a few ends, so I've got some stitch markers hanging out still on this, but I know it looks tiny, but it needs to be blocked, and I tried it on, and I'm fairly confident when I block it, it'll be the perfect size. I know it looks like a toddler size when I hold it up to my body now, but I used Malabrigo Caprino yarn, and it's just really, it has really nice drape. I like the stitches. The stitches are all back loop only for this particular sweater, and I just liked the collar is folded over and then stitched down on the wrong side, so I had a really fun time making this. And maybe I'm really bad at taking photos of my finished crochet projects when I'm wearing them, but I'll try to remember to get a photo after the sweater's blocked and I'm wearing it. But I already started a second of the same sweater in a different color. All right, so today's book review is a recommendation from viewer Laura, and Laura suggested that I review a book called Quilts in Modern Color, so I did pick it up. By the way, feel free to email me anytime with any of your recommendations for notions, books, or other projects. Danny's going to put my email address up on the screen. It's sarah@sewsweetness.com, and you can email me anytime. All right, so he's going to switch to the overhead camera so that I can show you the projects in the book. As with all craft or quilting books, the beginning portion is techniques. So for this particular book, how to sew all the different blocks, discussion of the color wheel and choosing colors for your quilt. And because the whole point of this quilt is ombre color palettes, there's also a portion of the book that discusses how to choose fabrics to get an ombre color. So the first quilt in the book is a really good demonstration of what ombre is. So as you can see, it starts light and then gets darker. That's just one of the methods for a gradient in a quilt. I would say if you've never made a quilt before, this would be a good one to start with, just because it's, you know, squares with some rows, which is the white. And I also like that the gradient or ombre could be transitioning from one color to another. So that first quilt was just a single color, reds, and this one's, as you can see, blue, yellow, orange, and red. I have 3 favorite quilts in this book. This is the first one. This is also relatively easy, and I really like the quilting chosen for this one as well. Honestly, I really like the colors in this sample quilt, so I might make one in the same colors. I do have a lot of quilting books in my library already, but I don't know. I love working with solids, so solid quilts will always catch my eye. This is another of my favorites. And this is the third of the favorites. Also, I like those colors too. And there's a few templates that are in the back of the book. There's also some smaller projects like wall hangings and pillows. So if you don't want to invest the time to make a full-size quilt, like this pillow is only 20 inches by 20 inches, but I love how it looks. And then one more. So again, the book is called Quilts in Modern Color, and I've linked to this book in the description in case you're interested in checking it out after the show. All right, Danny, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
We are interrupting the show for a special report.
Because now it is time for Bag Lab.
Okay, so for today's Bag Lab, this suggestion is from Augusta, and this demonstration is how to use a Lightbox to Fussycut fabric. So I've got a Lightbox here, which I've shown on the show before. It's from Nifty Notions. I've linked to this Lightbox in the description. And Danny's going to switch back to the overhead camera so that I can show you what it looks like. Okay, so I just have a smaller Lightbox, and the neat thing about this particular one, and it's not turning on, let's see, there we go. The neat thing about this particular Lightbox is because it's made for sewing related things, it also comes with a cutting mat which you can place on top, which I think is pretty nifty, if I will say. So it's optional. You can either use it just the Lightbox by itself or with the cutting mat, which will be helpful either if you plan to use a rotary cutter or if you just like to see the grid lines on it. I'm going to put this to the side for now just because I don't usually use me personally, I don't usually use a rotary cutter for cutting fabric out. And I've got this canvas fabric that I bought a while ago. It's from Cloud9, and it's got some really cool vintage teapots on it. And you can either have the fabric face up like I have, or face down will work as well. And I'm using the Baker Street bag. It's a free pattern and video. This is the pattern piece for the front and back of the bag. And what I did was I printed it out twice so that I can tape a mirror image so I can have the whole piece. You can certainly have this cut on the fold. I just thought it would be easier and more clear to see if the fabric's a single layer and we just cut it out at once. So let's see. If I was fussy cutting fabric, I might choose one of these teapots, the center of the teapot, to line the center of my pattern piece on. Something like that, possibly. Also, sometimes it's good not to have something in the center. So maybe I'll have my center line with a teapot on either side like this. So whatever you decide for the fussy cutting, I'm going to take my marking tool right here. Friction. I'll use my friction pen. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw around the outside. The nice thing about this, having the full-size pattern piece, is I feel like it takes a little bit less time rather than cutting on the fold to get everything lined up, just because you can see it really clearly. And my Lightbox is a little bit on the smaller side, so I'm just going to go ahead and shift the fabric over as I'm tracing it around. This is also great for fussy cutting other things. Maybe you're doing some English paper piecing. Good for other things as well. So I'm going to turn the Lightbox off. And then, oh, my lines are faint, but I can see them pretty well. So this is just what I would do and use my scissors to cut out. And this is actually, I know there's different ways for cutting out fabric for a bag, but this is what I usually do. I usually trace the pattern piece, whether it's on the fold or not. And I just trace around with my friction pen usually and use my scissors to cut out. So I like to have while I'm talking about cutting out pattern pieces, I like to have a few different marking tools available depending on if I'm using light or dark fabrics. My preference is to mark on the wrong side of the fabric, but in that case, I marked on the right side of the fabric. So I'll usually use either a friction pen. I like using Sewline pencil. This is the black or the charcoal. I've got 3 different colors in here. So I've got pink, white, and black. I like using this one a lot too. I also have a regular Sewline pencil. This one's white. So white is handy, especially for dark fabrics. Something like possibly this, where the orange might be harder to show up. Same thing with the black, but the white, as you can see, the white shows up really clearly. So these are the 3. I don't really think I use anything more than these 3. Oh, I use one more thing. Clover Choco. I guess I kind of gravitate between the 2, the Sewline pencil and the Clover Choco. I prefer only using white in the Clover Choco. It's available in other colors, but I just don't care for, sometimes the other colors don't wipe away easily. So while we're talking about marking tools, these are the ones I use pretty much all the time, either friction pen, Sewline pencil trio, Sewline pencil, this one's white, or Clover Choco in white. Let me know in the comments what your favorite marking tool is while we're talking about the tools. All right, now we're going to get over to Danny's picks of the month.
Hello, everyone. My picks of the month start with Gladys. She made the Marlin backpack, and she made 2 of them, actually. And I just love her choice of using the cotton or canvas. I'm not sure which it is, but I love the print on top of the solid, especially the black. It just looks real clean, and it highlights the accents. Really nice job, Gladys. Next up is Helena, and she made the Clydebank tote, and she did some really awesome quilting on this. And I know it might be a little harder to see, but it is super cool, and she did it on both sides, and it just makes it look so classy and custom, and really great job. And once again, also that black on top of the cotton fabric, it just makes it pop out, and it just looks great. Great job, Elena. Next, Jessica's real busy making some Bellevue pouches, and she made them about every color. I believe it's tulip pink fabric. Really gives that Easter vibes. I believe it's when she posted it around, and they just looked awesome. Great job, Jessica. And last but not least, Susan made the grab and go laptop or bag case.
Grab and go sleeve, yeah. You're pretty close. You're close.
The fabric she chose was super cool. It's like a crocodile alligator skin. I'm sure it's probably a vinyl. Probably hold up to wear and tear, spills, everything. Such a nice finish. Great job on that, Susan. I love the color. Really good job sewing that.
I like those strap-ons too. Yeah.
Yeah, super
great.
Cool. I didn't even notice that at first. Yep. Great job, everyone.
All right, so we're not live today, so there's no live questions. So I'm going to skip right over to the giveaway for this month. The giveaway winner for last month is Teresa Shaw. So congratulations to Teresa. Please email me after the show so that I can get you connected with your prize. Again, my email is sarah@sewsweetness.com. Danny's going to put that up on the screen one more time. All right, and I have one giveaway for tonight's show, and that's a $50 gift certificate to my website, sewsweetness.com. The giveaways are randomly drawn, and you have until the end of the day this Saturday to leave a comment on the show. We compile all of the YouTube and Facebook comments together, and the randomly drawn winner will be announced on next month's show, which will be on Sunday, June 1st. And I have an extra question for you for an extra method of entry. What is your favorite savory snack? Let me know in the comments. I like popcorn. I also like cheese popcorn for a savory snack. Pretzels with hummus. What about you, Danny?
How about some beef sticks or would that be savory?
Yeah, that's savory.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to pick something different than you.
Yeah. Sounds good. Let me know in the comments what your favorite savory snack is. Our next live show will be on Sunday, June 1st. It will be at the usual time, 7 p.m. Central Time. And if you ever miss one of the shows, you can watch the replays anytime over on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's show. I hope you have a great week and happy sewing. Bye, everybody.